You're exhausted from giving to everybody else while abandoning yourself. You lay awake at night wondering, is this really my life? And deep down, you're scared. You might just be settling for less in love, career, and purpose. Welcome back to season 2 of Redefine Her. This is the second part of the second season. I had to take a little break, but I am back. You guys, life has been lifing, but I want to get straight to it. The summer is almost over here in the United States of America. We are winding down. I took a break from social media content, newsletter content, YouTube content, all of it, but I am back and some things have happened over the summer. And this is going to be surrounding what we're going to be talking about this season, which is around my content pillars, which I'm going to share with you a little bit later. But I'll tell you that this one is about self abandonment and healing family dynamics. Let's get into it. All right. So, you guys, I went home for my birthday, which also was the weekend of my family reunion on my mom's side. And so, if you guys have been here for a while, you guys know that I have had a contentious relationship with my family, contentious relationship with my mom and dad. And I have been working that out since about 2018. Well, in working that out and choosing myself, right, and getting to know who I am, I had to sort of like go no contact with them, or really just like separate the space between like how much I am around my family versus like what I had been doing. So this is me saying, hey, I'm going to come back home. And this is a big deal because just a few newsletters before I was talking about how I don't know, I didn't feel emotionally safe around my family. And so, but this particular feeling I had felt differently. And I wanted to share this with you all. Now, I want to talk from this topic, but there is going to be some missing pieces that I'll fill in the next few episodes. So you want to stay tuned. But moral of the story is this past summer or this past 6 months in 2025, I have just gone through so much in my life in terms of just really getting back to who I am. You guys know that I have been dealing with my chronic condition, endometriosis. You guys know that I was evicted. I had to move to upstate New York. I moved back to LA. I retired from makeup right around the time there was a writer's strike. And that's when also my health declined. You guys also know I had 4 surgeries in 5 years, and we're still just trying to figure out a way for me not to be in pain, or let me just be more clear, not to feel like I'm having a baby. And so in that time, me being a high achieving woman, I had always been independent and depending on myself and just, being that person saying, I got it. And so when I passed out at the club in 2018, that was the first moment of like, I wasn't in control. Right. And in the real scheme of things, we're not in control. But this high achieving woman saw it differently. And that moment was my sacred interruption, which is what I like to call it. And so that had put me into like debilitating pain every day, which then lended itself to social anxiety, which then I got to see like who was there for me, who was not, who was willing to now like show up differently in friendship, since I was now showing up differently in friendship. And then I met a man that really showed me how when you don't heal your toxic cycles, your family dynamics, your cultural, societal conditioning, that it'll show up in other relationships. And so I had to stop all of that. And so in doing that, I had to just break the space between me and my family. And so it had been about 3 years since I had been back, and I had just felt stronger. I felt like I was beginning to get back to myself now. I found a vitamin cocktail. I created 3 workshops with Impact and Leather Project. I am registering my nonprofit in Botswana. I'll talk about that soon. And so all these things are happening. But more importantly, I'm not giving up on myself, right? And I'm trusting God in this process, right? Me and God, we are in this. We are together. And so I don't know what's going to happen, right? I have desires of my heart. But one thing I knew for sure is that the body will let you know how you feel. And so I was beginning to feel confident. And so I said, I think I can go home. And so I said, I'm going to call my mother and I'm going to ask her, um, you know, can she pay for a ticket, or can she pay half? And then ask my dad if he could pay the other half. I called her. She immediately called him on a 3-way, which I didn't expect her to do. And then next thing you know, they're saying, hey, we'll pay for you. So we got over that hump. And which I figured they would say yeah, because I haven't been around in 3 years and it's been just kind of rocky. Um, and so I knew they would say yeah. I also, not only was I just confident, but I wanted to visit and see my mom and dad. I've been looking through the phone and the video calls and seeing that people are aging and getting older. And I wanted to go back home to say hello to some folks. And so, they said yes. So we got over that part. And so the second part is, well, where am I going to stay? Because I don't know if you guys recall, but way back in like 2016, I said I was never going to go over my mother's house again because she said that she um, didn't want me to come to the house anymore. Again, this is her way of like dealing with conflict. She tends to become very mean. Yeah, so her version of dealing with conflict is to say hurtful things like what she said. And so I said, you know what, let me get over it. I am aware now that like she was doing this for her own self-protection. Let me get through this discomfort. And so I said that I was going to stay at the house because I could have navigated not doing that, but I said to myself, I want to be close. I want to be able to see my nieces and nephews and not have to navigate getting to the house. So I made that decision, and it was a good decision because as I took the flight, I got the first thing I saw was my nieces, my niece Bianca, and then woke up to see my nephew Aries. So just a really great day in that way. And so, um, what I really just want to note about the first few couple days is that I just felt confident, right? I just want to get right to it. I don't have to go into the technicals about this trip. Is that I felt more confident. When I said that I didn't feel emotionally safe, I know now how to keep myself safe. And so, doing that, keeping myself safe was like trusting myself, really walking and being authentically me, which I felt like I wasn't able to do with my family. I go to the family reunion and I'm just being myself. If I want to play with my nieces and nephews, I play with them. If I want to go talk to other family members, I will. If I want to smoke a joint, I will. And so these are things that I had to tiptoe over because I knew that my mother was looking and might have something to say. Well, I didn't care, you know. Um, and so there was just a lightness in that, of just feeling more settled in who I am. And then also just I saw the effort of my family members, my mother, my sister, various people in the family. Like it's like they knew, hey, you don't want to mess up with her because she will not talk to you. And they have to continue to be themselves as well too. But I just think that it's sacred interruption, or what we call that period of no contact, of me really choosing me, really, really recalibrated the relationship between a lot of my family members. And I know now, and I look back now, a lot of that was jealousy. And again, I don't have time for that. I hate that that is what it is, but like, you try to walk a day in my, my shoes. Jealous is not the word that you would want to use. And so I had to like really just kind of like throw away all of the noise and recognize that like I accept myself, I love myself, I'm happy about the direction I'm going, and I trust God as my guide. And so this is like what anchors me. And so when I work with various women, this is like, what is your anchor? What is that thing without a doubt that's going to hold you as you're navigating through these challenging spaces, and you are now holding yourself in the highest regard? You are saying no to things that don't serve you, to people, places, and things that don't serve you. And so, because there is going to just be a moment where you have to allow for that shift. And that's not saying that like people won't still be able to be around you, or that you still won't have to be the core of who you are. But there are things about you that makes you feel uncomfortable, and that is what you are giving yourself the time and space to do, is to like get that in order so you can love who you are, and then you show that for yourself, and then that be a demonstration to other people. And so I felt like that was what the trip was about as well. I now felt a certain way about myself, and I now wanted to demonstrate that to people so they know how they should treat me. And I feel like that went really well from the times that I hung out with my mom, my sister, and various things like that. But I will say, not everybody is going to be on the changing side, on the transformation side, on the healing side. My dad's side of the family did not pass with flying colors, okay? They were not willing to really give me that space to be seen, valued, and heard. I did find myself to be triggered around them, which I really did not like as well. But what I did know is that I was aware of how I was feeling. I did apologize for the emotions that I had that were connected to it. I spoke up about it, and I also, set a boundary. And this is just a particular instance around my uncle of allowing people who don't hold me in high regard to basically disrespect me in his home. And so we have to look at the dynamics of why people choose what they choose. And so, in this dynamic, although this is my uncle, the person to which we were having the conflict about was someone who is a brother in law and just has more intimacy with him, i.e., he's around him, he helps him out a lot. I'm not around. So, I might be his niece, but he's going to the side of the person who's there for him. And that just makes it what I am doing all of this for, to establish my own chosen family of people that I can be there for, that can be there for me, that I don't have to be anyone different. And so, in this trip was a culmination of so many years of doing the hard work and walking through discomfort to really rediscover who I am. Right? This is reclaiming my identity, because when you are a high achiever, you are a Black woman, right? You're doing a lot of things that make you look good, but you may not have a good grasp on who you are. And sometimes you're unwilling to change that because who you have been has been socially accepted, right? But internally, you are burning. You are so unfulfilled. You're lonely. You don't feel like you're moving in purpose. You're just not happy. And I'm telling you that there's another way. And so um, I just want you to know that this this is just an extension of the newsletter. I'm getting the newsletter to see how everything turned out. But I just wanted to speak more about, the journey of, like, you have to give yourself that chance. You have to be able to walk through discomfort. And trust me, the person on the other side is someone who's more confident, someone who's more sure of themselves, someone who has a purpose, someone who loves themselves. That can be your life as well. I know the inside of this. Trust me, going back home was not easy, but I had to do it. What am I afraid to lose that God is not going to give me on the other side of my obedience, right? This is the question that God asked me in 2019. It said family. And he's working that out for my good right now. And I'm allowing him to, right? Because I have a family of origin and I have chosen family. He's still working out that chosen family for me, which will include family of origin members. And so that's why I also went back to let them know, hey, for the ones who see me, I've always seen you. Thank you for seeing me. Let's continue this relationship. All right, let's move more towards a healing space. And so, yeah. Look, not every relationship is meant to be restored. Like I said, I went home. Some were good, some were not good. Your emotional safety is non-negotiable. Like, you have to feel safe in your environment. You don't have to stay, period. You have to stop negotiating your safety. I can't believe I was in so many situations with my family where I was just so unsafe. I can't believe how my body had to freeze up or dissociate. You don't have to do that anymore. And just letting you know, walking away is wisdom, right? Leaving these harmful spaces or toxic spaces isn't disrespect, it's liberation. Like I said, I had to give some space between myself and my family. I had to go no contact with some people, and it took like some years. It is what it is. This is about your life, your freedom, your purpose. And so it all starts with a decision. You really don't have to keep living like this and serving other people yet being served the least, and living for other people knowing doggone well you sitting in the house and you're alone. And so I just want you to know, if this episode hits you, don't just nod along with me. Don't just stay stuck in the same cycle. Let me walk with you. And so I want you to sign up for the Redefine Her newsletter, where I go deeper every week with stories and tools and activations that you can get here. And then also, you can join my one-on-one private coaching for high touch. Okay, this is for women who are like, I am ready to change today. I know it is tough. I don't even know what that journey looks like, but I'm ready to do it. You want to go ahead and reach out to me for one-on-one coaching. All I know is that, like, you have to decide that nothing and no one matters until you get the life that you actually want. A life that's more fulfilling, that's aligned with your God-given purpose. A life where you're not going home and you're alone. A life where you're not, it look good on the outside or on the outside, but then you'll go home and you're empty on the inside. You matter. You matter, you matter, you matter. We're going to be talking about this some more. Stay tuned, okay? We're going to be talking about certain areas around self-worth and self-abandonment. We're going to be talking about boundaries and emotional safety, clarity and spiritual alignment. We're going to talk about healing family dynamics, and also identity beyond performance, right? This is what we're focusing on in this second season of Redefine Her. And I hope you stay here to join me. I'll see you on the next episode.